Hello everyone, this is Leo from the Monkeys Making Misplaced channel, and as you've probably seen from the title, today we are going to be deck profiling Solrairon. Solrairon's a deck we got back in DBT 10 that is honestly pretty underwhelming, but it did receive some new support that I think makes it maybe a bit more consistent. You're able to stack the deck with a lot of the abilities in the deck. Unfortunately, you're only able to stack normal units, so unlike Hex Orb, you're not able to stack triggers. You do get to, however, if you guess the top card of your deck correctly at the beginning of your battle phase, you get to give your whole front row plus 5k for the whole turn. And then when he attacks, you can counterblast one to look at top two, and then call one, and then you can put the other on top or bottom. So it does have a fourth attack built into it, which is always great, and it can maybe stack you some extra cards, and you essentially get yourself a half Persona Ride right away. And then when you are on Persona Ride, it's a 15k boost to the front row. So let's talk about the Ride deck. There is a specific ride line for Solrairon. I'm not playing those units in the ride line. I am playing them in the main deck, but for the ride deck instead, the starter, just a regular starter, I'm playing the Alden grade 1 and grade 2. This is because they just make you a unit and they don't take up their soul. Essentially, if you whiff their abilities, they'll get taken out of soul, but with the amount of units we play in the deck, you should be able to hit the units you need off of this. So you can always get at least something off of both of these effects. So that's why I'm playing these over just the original ride line, because you play a bunch of different grades anyways, you'll have the cards you need. So they trigger pretty easily. I actually really like playing the Alden ride line. It's actually helped a lot with like finding some of the pieces you need earlier on. Like the card that lets you draw cards, but we'll talk about those when we get there. For grade 3s, we're obviously playing the normal 3 copies, extra copies, and the Chalice because we want a Persona Ride, because plus 15k to the board is insane. Then we're playing 4 copies of Dependable Pierce Dragon. This is one of your stacking cards. When it's placed on rear, if you're Vanguard Solrairon, you can choose a normal unit, reveal it, then you draw a card and put that card on top of the deck. And then when your unit is revealed, a normal unit is revealed by the ability of Solrairon. He gains an ability to gain plus 5 and then move into Soul. So he can just create some extra Soul and get some added power. Add that to Solrairon's plus 5k, makes this a 23k attacker, and then when it's on Persona Ride turns, it makes it a 33k attacker, so it's pretty good. And you want to have one of these. Essentially, in your opening hand, you're looking for this or the other stacker. Then onto the grade 2 from Solrairon's ride line is Sage of Robust Stragon. He's just a countercharger. That's kind of all he is. When a normal unit's revealed for the ability of your Solrairon, he gains the ability to, at the end of the battle, retire himself and countercharge. So it opens spaces, which is actually important. You want to have open rear guards for the next card we're going to talk about, which is the latest support card for Solrairon, and that is Wisdom Claw Dragon. I'm not playing a full set because you kind of need a couple different multi-attackers. Because although you have 4 attacks, there is many ways that this deck can gain a 5th attack, and he is one of them. So when he's placed from deck on rear, he gains plus 5, so it becomes 15, plus Solrairon's plus 5 makes him a 20k. And then when he's placed on rear, if you have Vanguard with Solrairon, you get to look at the top card of your deck and you can put it on top or bottom. And then you can counterblast one to reveal the top card if it's on, and call it to an open rear guard if it is a unit card. And if you don't call a card, you put it into your soul. So you can make soul or you can get an extra attack. But that's why having the open rear guard is important, because he can't be called, or he can't call the card he finds there to a occupied rearguard. So that's why you want to retire or open up your rearguard circles. One of the many multi-attackers in this deck. We're going to move into the next one, which is probably a very familiar face to all you. 3 copies of Kyrie. Same thing. We can call this Self of Solrairon if we stack it on the deck, and now we have essentially an ability to call another unit in the middle of combat and get some multi-attack off. Then the final attacker, we're only playing 2 copies of this one, and that's Gold Gaon, because he can call a grade 1 if he's called on rear for a Soul Blast, and he makes the grade 1 13k if it's because it gives a plus 5. So just some extra ways. Sometimes the reason I play so many different multi-attackers is because we have Kyrie that eats CB and Soul. And then we have Wisdom Claw that eats CB, so it's better to split it up in the way that we have. The least resource we have is usually Soul, So that's why I play more copies of these and less of this. But it's better to have a wide range of multi-attackers in case you run out of specific resource. Because if you're constantly doing Kybri, you're gonna run out of both CB and Soul. And if you're doing Wisdom Claw, you're just gonna run out of CB. And if you do Gold Gaon, then you're gonna run out of Soul. So it's better to try and balance it out and play the multi-attacker that is gonna cost you the least amount of resources for the maximum benefit. Then moving on to grade 1s, we have a grade 1 that would be normally in Solrairon's ride line. Elrond. Yes. Eliron. This guy has the same ability as a grade 3. He can just stack a normal unit on top of the deck when he's placed on rear of Vanguard's Solrairon, and then you get to draw a card before you stack the unit. So nothing here, we just need another stacker, so always try to have at least one of this or the dragon in hand. Then onto Solrairon's second use card. I'm not going to say that name because I can't read it. It's a Divine Sister. It just says when your other unit is placed by a card's ability, you can counterblast 1, draw a card. And if it was placed by Solrairon's ability, it gets +5. People used to play the Dragon Tree. What's his name? The Dragon Tree Wretch, the grade 1. But I think this is better because you don't have to play anything in front of that column or anything like that. This card can't become dead because as long as you call cards by card's abilities, which you can even trigger it off of your ride line effect by calling this before you ride up to grade 2. You can, whatever you call off of the ride line will proc this. Even the unit itself calling itself, in case you whiff, would still proc this, so you still get a draw card. So this card is just really good. You can just put these in the back row, let them sit there. If you get the power boost, that's great. If you just need to draw cards, they're great. So full set of this. And then the final grade 1 unit that isn't the PGs is Palmier. Palmier lets you counterblast 1 when she's placed on rear from hand to look at top 3 and then put them back in any order. So it lets you stack a little bit more than you would normally with some of the other ones, because the other ones don't really let you stack. You just get to put 1 card on top, and then that's it. You're just essentially cycling that card between something else, but you never get to see past that, and that's where Palmier comes in. Being able to see a little bit further and maybe make better attack chains with things like Kybri and Wisdom Claw by letting you know what you're going to call off of them. So that's pretty good. You have to be careful because this is another thing that eats CB. So use this only sparingly. You know, don't just try to shotgun them all at once. Then obviously we have the 3 normal PGs and the Blitz PG because you have to. That's the standard. And this deck doesn't have a in-theme Blitz order, so understandable. And then we have the Keter Sanctuary OT. You could play something like the red OT in this deck, but I don't know. This seems good. If you can stack it, that's insane. If you see it, you just get to go, okay, cool. I'll just, you know, give my rear guards drive checks and I know what's gonna happen. So in that case, I think this is the best. And then for triggers, we play 4 draw because you want to draw into your pieces. You need to find either a stacker, a multi-attack, a unit, something. So draws are the way to go because you need to find one. If you can't find your pieces, this deck is just dead in the water. Although I know that Solrairon isn't like a top tier deck, I think this is key. You need to get those draws to find the pieces you need. Then from there, we play your 7 crits. Soul charging crits actually can come up sometimes because the deck can run out of soul. So, you know, if you don't have them, don't feel too bad. But if you do, you know, I would suggest playing them. And then we won't play the 7 crit because your multi-attack is where the pressure is really coming from. And then you have 4 heal. I'm just playing 2 different ones because I didn't have the heals available. You could play some effect ones, but for right now I'm just playing the normal ones since sometimes you just need a guard early on and you got to make sure that it's OT to pass. This deck is pretty fun, but like I've said before, it is not very, very good. But you got to do what you got to do with the cards you're given, right? I think Solrairon can do some stuff. If maybe he got a way to countercharge and soul charge, something like Visato would be pretty cool. Because if you are kind of alleviated of the intense resources that it requires, I mean, Solrairon needs both a soul and a CB pretty much every turn. So it's kind of hard to maintain stuff. And your multi-attackers all require either a soul or a CB or both in Kybri's sense. So maybe something to help him get a little bit of a cost reduction. Maybe some extra power, you know. But I think the deck is fun. I hope you enjoyed. We will be doing this against EUGUNE. So all you EUGUNE fanboys, you know, be prepared. But with that, this has been Leo. I'll see you all on Cray.